I need to be honest about something. When Vinland Saga Season 2 started, I almost dropped it. I had watched Season 1, loved it, loved the action and the politics and Askeladd, and then Season 2 began and Thorfinn was a slave who refused to fight and spent episodes doing farm work. I remember being frustrated. I remember thinking, where is the show I was watching? I stayed with it anyway. And around episode 8 something shifted in me, and by the end of the season I thought I had watched one of the most emotionally intelligent pieces of television I had ever seen in any medium. This video is about what changed, and why I think my initial frustration was not an accident. Vinland Saga is a show that spends Season 1 building something in you and then spends Season 2 very deliberately dismantling it. That process is uncomfortable. I think it is also the most mature thing anime has done in years. Season 1 of Vinland Saga is genuinely great action storytelling. The politics are sharp. Askeladd is one of the best characters in recent anime. And at the center is Thorfinn, who watched his father die and spent years fighting his way toward the single goal of killing the man responsible. I was invested. I wanted him to get there. The fighting was visceral and the revenge arc pulled me forward. And that is exactly what the show needed me to feel. Because when Askeladd dies and Thorfinn feels nothing, when the revenge he spent his entire adolescence working toward turns out to be empty, the show is talking directly to the version of me that was watching and rooting for it. I wanted the catharsis of the kill. Thorfinn got it and had nothing. The show made me complicit in the thing it was criticizing. Here is what I have come to believe about the farming arc in Season 2. It is slow on purpose. It is quiet on purpose. It is showing you what it looks like when a person who has lived entirely in violence and purpose and forward momentum suddenly has none of those things and has to figure out who they are without them. That is not a dramatically exciting process. It is a real one. Thorfinn does not know how to receive kindness. He does not know how to want something that is not revenge. He does not know how to exist without the structure of hatred. The farming episodes are about a person learning to be a person again, and that takes time in real life too. I was frustrated because I was expecting action. The show was quietly asking me why I needed action to feel like something was happening. Askeladd is the character that broke me a little. He is not a villain. I could not figure out what he was for most of Season 1. By the end I understood. He is a man of exceptional intelligence who genuinely cared about Thorfinn while expressing that care entirely as cruelty and contempt. He kept Thorfinn alive and growing and fighting because some part of him saw something worth preserving. And he protected the thing he actually loved, which was Wales, his mother's homeland, through decades of serving people he despised. He died for it. When Askeladd died I felt more grief than I expected to feel for a morally complicated character who had done genuinely terrible things. That grief told me that the show had done something right. It had made me understand him without excusing him. The part of Season 2 that made me most uncomfortable was watching Thorfinn get beaten and refuse to retaliate. He had the skill. The show made sure we knew he had the skill. He chose not to use it. I kept thinking, why, what is wrong with him, why will he not defend himself? And then I sat with it and I realized my frustration was the show's question back at me. Why did I need him to fight? What was I actually asking for when I wanted him to retaliate? I was asking for the satisfaction of dominance, of power asserted, of the stronger person making the weaker person pay. The show was asking me to notice that I wanted that, and to think about what it says about how I understand strength. That is an uncomfortable question. It is the right one. We live in a moment that glorifies a very specific kind of strength. The strength that dominates. The strength that never shows weakness or asks for help or chooses restraint. Thorfinn's arc is a direct argument against that model. His father, Thors, was the greatest warrior alive and chose to become a farmer because he understood that strength without a purpose of care destroys the person holding it. Thorfinn learns this at enormous cost over 2 seasons. I do not think it is a coincidence that this story exists now, or that it is resonating with people who are exhausted by the performance of hardness. Sometimes the most radical thing a story can do is show someone choosing to be gentle when they could choose to be powerful. Vinland Saga does that and earns every quiet minute of it. Vinland Saga made me uncomfortable in ways I was not expecting, and every time I sat with the discomfort instead of dismissing it, I found something worth thinking about. That is what I want from fiction. Not to feel good in the easy way, but to feel something true. Season 2 of Vinland Saga is one of the most emotionally honest things I have watched, and I think in 10 years it will be recognized as one of the great pieces of storytelling in this medium. Subscribe for more content about anime that does not get the conversation it deserves, because there is so much of it, and I am not done talking about it.